The blast shook the outer ridge as the human soldier ran through the fractured canyon. Talon's boots pounded against the cracked stone, while smoke curled up from the distant detonations. He carried no banner, no emblem, only his worn armor, and the stubborn resolve that had carried him through every battlefield he had survived. The sky above him glowed with streaks of violet, light as the alien fleet clashed with the raiders who had attacked without warning. What had begun? As a routine escort mission had collapsed into chaos when the raider clans descended on the diplomatic caravan. The alien queen had sent her daughter, a child no older than 10 solar cycles, to meet with human delegates. No one expected the raiders to break the treaty. No one expected them to strike with such vicious speed. Talon had been separated from his squad when the canyons erupted with fire. That was when he found her, a small figure trapped beneath a fallen beam, crying out for help. Her pale crest glowed faintly, a sign of fear and exhaustion. She was the queen's daughter, the heir to an entire system. He did not hesitate. He never had when a life needed protecting. Talon lifted the beam with burning muscles, dragged her free, and carried her on his back while blasts shook the ground around him. Her arms wrapped around his collar, trembling. She said nothing, but he could hear her quiet breaths and feel the urgency of each step he took. The raiders had set up an ambush. Talon moved from fragment to fragment of cover, shielding the child with his own armored frame. Bolts of red energy hissed past his head. One struck the ground so close that heat surged against his legs, but he kept going. The girl clung harder, burying her face against his shoulder. He knew he could not stop. Not here. Not while she depended on him. He reached a fallen transport and took refuge behind its ruined hull. The child looked up at him with bright, frightened eyes. Her name, she whispered, was Myra. He nodded, keeping her close. A crackling sound came from his comm. The queen's voice broke through the static, sharp and strained. Reports had reached her that her daughter was missing. Talon's message came in short bursts as the comm flickered. He told her Myra was alive. He told her he would get her out. Her answer was a single phrase that carried more weight than any order he had ever heard. Bring her home. The raiders closed in. Talon checked his ammunition and found he had little left. Still, he refused to surrender the girl. Myra held tight to him as he planned their next move. There was one path left through the canyon, though it wound into a ravine known for unstable rock. But it was the only way. He took it. The terrain shifted beneath them with every step. Loose stones tumbled down the slopes. The raiders shouted from behind, their voices echoing through the gaps. Talon adjusted Myra's position and sprinted, leaping over broken ledges and ducking beneath fallen pillars. Then a blast struck the ridge. Above, Dot stone rained down in a deafening roar. Talon spun, pressing Myra beneath him as the ground shook. Dust filled the air. When it cleared, the path behind them was buried. The raiders had been cut off. For the moment, Talon rose, lifting Myra again and continuing onward. The ravine opened ahead into a wide chamber of layered rock, glowing from bioluminescent moss. He slowed, checking for any sign of threat. For the first time since the attack began, Myra spoke more than a whisper. "Will you leave me here?" "No," he said. He would see her safe. He would see her return to her mother. He promised her that, and Talon had never broken a promise. They moved through the chamber, stepping over uneven ground. Myra's breathing calmed. Her small hand clutched the strap across his chest. She asked why a human would risk himself for someone not of his own kind. Talon answered as simply as he could. Life was life. Innocence did not deserve destruction. And if he had the strength to protect, then he would never choose to stand aside. Myra watched him with new understanding. She said she would tell her mother what he had done. Talon smiled faintly. He doubted anything he said would matter to a queen of an alien empire, but he appreciated Myra's sincerity. The chamber narrowed, leading to an exit that revealed the upper ridge of the canyon. Relief washed over Talon when he saw the distant glow of allied ships landing on the plateau. They were close. He could bring Myra to safety. He took a step forward. A raider bolt grazed his arm. Talon turned sharply, pulling Myra close. The raiders had found another path. A squad rushed into the chamber behind them. Talon fired several shots, forcing them to scatter. His injured arm burned, but he stood firm. Myra clung to him and whispered his name with fear. He stepped in front of her and blocked another volley. One raider charged him, but Talon met the attacker head-on. He struck with the butt of his rifle, sending the raider falling back. Another raised a blade. Talon dodged and drove his shoulder into the attacker's chest. Pain shot through his ribs, but he did not fall. He had promised Myra. He fought like every second mattered. Because it did not at last, the remaining raiders retreated into the shadows. Talon grabbed Myra's hand and ran toward the ridge. The sun had begun to dip, casting golden light across the stone. A shuttle waited for them. Soldiers rushed to secure the area as Talon stepped aboard with Myra in his arms. The queen arrived moments later. Her towering form was unmistakable. Her crest gleamed with royal authority, yet her eyes were filled with raw fear. When she saw Myra, her posture collapsed into relief. She reached out, taking her daughter with trembling hands. Myra hugged her, telling her how Talon had never left her side. The queen turned to him. Her gaze was intense, unreadable. Talon bowed politely, but her hand stopped him before he lowered his head. She studied the wounds on his armor, the scorch marks, the blood seeping through his sleeve. He had protected her child at the cost of his own safety. The queen's voice trembled as she thanked him. She said her daughter lived because of him. She said no soldier, not even among her own people, had ever shown such courage under such circumstances. Myra nodded vigorously, repeating everything he had done. Talon said he only did what any decent soldier would do. The queen disagreed. She said few would risk themselves so completely for another species. Talon looked away, uncomfortable with praise. He asked if Myra was safe now. The queen confirmed it. Then he prepared to leave and rejoin his unit, but the queen stopped him. Her decision came with absolute certainty. She told him she would not allow a soldier capable of such loyalty to walk away. She said her world needed someone like him. Her daughter needed someone like him. She declared, in front of her entire guard, that Talon would remain as an honored protector of the royal line. Talon froze. He had come only to save a child. He had expected nothing more. Now an entire empire wanted to keep him. He attempted to protest. He said he had a duty to his own people. But the queen stepped forward, her voice firm. She told him she knew of his record. She knew he had no remaining family, no home beyond the military base. She knew he carried his burdens alone. She said he belonged here more than he realized. Myra tugged at his sleeve and asked him to stay. She said she trusted him. She said she felt safe with him. She said she wanted him near, not because he had saved her, but because he cared enough to risk everything. Talon looked at the queen, then at Myra. The weight of the moment pressed against his chest. He did not know what to say. The queen gave him time. He was escorted to the palace, where he was given medical treatment in a room overlooking the crystalline gardens. Days passed. Talon walked through the shimmering halls, watched the sunrise over the distant mountains, listened to the quiet hum of the palace chambers. Myra visited him often, bringing drawings and stories. She laughed more freely now. Her fear faded. The queen watched these interactions with thoughtful silence. She studied Talon when he trained, when he walked through the gardens, when he spoke with her daughter. She saw the way Mira relaxed around him. She saw the way he positioned himself instinctively between danger and those he cared for. She saw his discipline, his resolve, and the quiet heart he tried so hard to hide. One evening, the queen approached him on the terrace. She asked why he still hesitated to accept her offer. Talon said he felt unworthy of such honor. He said he was just a soldier who had done what needed to be done. The queen told him he had already proven himself more than worthy. She said the throne did not need perfection. It needed sincerity, courage, stability, and her daughter needed someone who would protect her future with unshakable devotion. The stars stretched across the sky as the queen spoke. The wind carried the faint glow of the gardens. Myra played nearby, laughing with soft joy. Talon realized then that this place, foreign though it was, felt more like home than any base he had known. These people valued his loyalty. They saw him not as a tool, but as someone irreplaceable. He turned to the queen and asked one question. If I stay, will I be allowed to choose my own path within your service? The queen smiled, a rare and warm expression. She said his path would be his to decide. She only asked that he walk it beside them, not as a prisoner, not as a servant, but as one of their own. Talon looked at Myra. She waved at him, beaming. He looked at the queen. Her gaze held trust, respect, and a quiet gratitude that needed no words. Talon bowed his head. I will stay. Myra cheered and ran to him. The queen placed a hand on his shoulder. In that moment, Talon felt something shift within him. He had fought for survival all his life. Now he fought for belonging.